Hello there, Aries. Thank you so much for stopping by for your weekly tarot video forecast. This forecast is going to be for March the 21st through the 27th. So we're starting with Saturday, working our way through the week. I am going to be pulling one card for each day to give us some kind of highlight of each day as we go through, and we'll just see what comes out. Thank you guys very much for being here. There's definitely a lot of energy on the move for you guys, which is actually reflected in astrology too, but I'm still shuffling. That means, for me, what that means is that there's a lot of energy moving around in your life. So there may be quite a few different choices of things that Spirit might want to talk to you about as highlights for each day. We've finally been able to stop shuffling those. So now let's see what shows up. And by the way, this is a general reading. If you would like to have a reading where I look at strictly your energy, not the whole Aries collective, all you have to do is get a hold of me. All my contact information is on the website at the top of the screen right there. And we can get that scheduled. All right, so let's start with Saturday and Sunday. For the weekend, you have the Queen of Swords in reverse, followed by the Page of Swords in reverse. Okay, I'm just chuckling because of something I heard as soon as I touched that Page of Swords. So we're going to talk about this weekend. So Aries, on Saturday, there is something going on where you are cutting off communication with somebody in your sphere of influence. You've just kind of had enough of their silliness. You don't feel the need to keep communicating with them. So we see you cutting off that communication. And this is a hard cut. So the only way you're still going to have communication with this person is either if you co-parent with them or if you have to work with them on something. One of those two things could cause you to still communicate with this person. Even then, that communication is going to be minimal. Okay? You're going to stick right to the topics. If you are cutting off somebody that does not have a situation, a shared situation where you guys have to talk about something, no more communication. You're not going to be taking DMs from any different type of social media. You're not going to be taking their text messages, their phone calls. If they try to get a message to a mutual friend or a family member, nay, you're not hearing it. This is a hard cutoff. Okay. Now, let's look at Sunday. This is the card that I kind of chuckled about because this is our Page of Swords in reverse. Stalker. This is straight up stalker energy. Okay. And the reason I'm kind of chuckling, I think the person that you no longer want to communicate with, I think you're going to be stalking them, even though you're not communicating with them. You're going to be paying attention to what they're up to. How are they responding? What are they doing with this situation? So, cutting them off Saturday, Sunday, you're just going to be like, did this even really impact them? If so, how much did it impact them? What can I see when I look at their social media or when I talk to our mutual friends? What's going to come up? So, definitely stalking. And this is not always stalking, but that's what I heard as I picked this card up. So cutting somebody off and then stalking them all in the same weekend. Stalking them is not talking to them. It's not reaching out to them. It's just checking out what they're up to, basically. Okay, now let's look at the week. We're going to go through these cards really quick and then we're going to talk about them. First of all, Monday, the Death card in reverse. Tuesday, we have our Queen of Wands. Wednesday, we have the Ace of Swords. Beautiful card, eh? And then Thursday, we have the Five of Swords in reverse. So two swords clumped together. And then we have the Knight of Wands in reverse. Okay, so let's take a look at these. Looking at Monday, Death card in reverse. This is a card that says, I know what I'm doing. I have a plan. I'm being strategic. And even though other people are trying to get you to change your plan, on Monday, you're holding your ground. You're not changing a thing. Not changing a thing. Because you know what your position is and you know why you're holding that position. And so you're sticking with it. Okay? So Tuesday, by the way, I would never name a card the Death card. It should be a transition card. But when it's in reverse, it's not making any transition at all. We're not making a change. Okay? Now, looking at the Queen of Wands. Okay, so this is one of your court cards, the Queen of Wands. And so I always take it as a good omen when you've got one of the cards that represents you showing up in your reading. So first of all, the Queen of Wands is a good thing. And second of all, the Queen of Wands talks about that you're doing something creative or outside the box that is nurturing and uplifting to somebody in your sphere of influence on Tuesday. Wednesday. Ace of Swords showing up here. This is a fantastic card. It just says that you have a new idea, and this is kind of an epiphany of an idea. You may have been trying to figure out something and have gotten that figured out, but whenever you understood that thing, that was also giving you information about a bunch of other things as well. Like it just makes a lot of puzzle pieces fit together in a lot of different places of your life. So that's why I call it an epiphany of an idea. It's really a new understanding of basically a general principle, even though what you really were looking for as far as information was how is this one thing working the way that it does. So, bonus information and very helpful when we have an epiphany show up. Now, looking at Thursday, Five of Swords showing up in reverse. Now, the Five of Swords in reverse says that we're letting go of some kind of conflict. Uh, when I was in Al Anon, we used to talk about dropping the rope. Like if all it takes for a tug of war or a fight to stop is for one side to drop the rope. And so I think here you're basically dropping the rope. You're not fighting with somebody about something. You may be right. You're still not continuing the fight. You may be wrong. You're still not continuing the fight. You don't want to keep the fight going. And so maybe you're agreeing to disagree, or maybe you're convincing the other person of your point, or they're convincing you. But either way, you're bringing an end to some kind of fight or argument or debate. And this is a very, very good thing. No matter how you slice it, you're being the peacemaker when we have the Five of Swords in reverse. Now we're looking at Friday. Hmm. This is interesting, Aries, because this could be considered one of your court cards. In fact, it is one of your court cards, this Knight of Wands, but he's in reverse. I'm not feeling like this is you. This is not your energy showing up on Friday. This is somebody else's, actually. And so you're probably trying to schedule something with somebody on Friday, and they are not willing to commit. They may be saying, well, okay, let's agree tentatively. That's about as strong of an agreement as you're going to get from this person when they show up on this card like this. Um, but more often than not, they don't like to commit to anything. The best way to get somebody like this to do something, and I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but the best way to get somebody like this to commit to something is wait. And then, like 20 minutes before you're going out the door, call them up. Hey, I'm getting ready to go do such and such. Would you like to come along? Because they typically are afraid to commit to something because they're afraid, well, what if something better comes up? And so if something better comes up, they don't want to be tied to something that they don't see as the best thing. So that's why if you, excuse me, I got dust in my throat all of a sudden. um, Sorry about that. But that's why it's better to kind of wait almost to the last minute to say, hey, I'm doing such and such. Do you want to come do this with me? Because by then, they already know, well, is there something better on the table? Am I already doing something else? So that's how that works. And that can be really frustrating too, trying to get somebody to commit to something on Friday. All right, so that's what we have for the week for you guys, Aries. Thank you all so much for being here. I do appreciate it. Of course, if you want any of my services, feel free to check out my website. Also, if you want my weekly predictions in writing for each sign, which are different than these video predictions, then you want to go to that website and sign up for my newsletter. Everybody have a fantastic week. And if I don't see you back here for a reading, Reiki session, mentoring session, or whatever by next week, then I will see you guys back on the next video. Peace out.